Zakir Bhai, again, still it wasn't so easy because your Ammi was not so enthused and actually sent you off to study to an aunt's house.
The tradition in our home or any home in India is that when a child is brought home from the hospital, the father is handed the baby and the father whispers a prayer in the baby's ear. And instead of saying a prayer, he started singing rhythms in my ear. You know, and my mother was very upset. She said, you have to say a prayer in his ear. And so he looked at her and said, this is my prayer. And that's what my father did for me with the music. But my mother got very upset because she wanted me to be a doctor or an engineer and somebody with a regular paycheck. After a while, she got very upset with my father and said, I'm going to send him away to Bibi Bai, one of her best friends. So I was sent away, but unwittingly, she actually put me in the right place to do my music. Because Bibi Bai's daughter was studying Kathak dance. I started practicing with her. And next thing we know, I was doing more tabla than I ever did in my own home.
This book spans an entire period of time in which you've conversed with him. So how did you manage to get all of these squiggly things in his mind out into print?
Zakir Saab's voice is on every single page. I thought the most interesting part of it was how he observes other musicians. And I really felt when I've seen him in concert, and many of you have too, that what you grasp from him is that he reads people very well and is quite a psychologist in his own way. And I thought that was fascinating because here you have someone who you think is only thinking about the notes and rhythms, but he's actually thinking about personality.
Zakir Bhai, one of the things that comes out so brilliantly in the book is your incredible dedication first to your father.
When you go to a teacher or a guru, the first thing they try to push inside of your mind is what an incredibly difficult and arduous journey this is going to be. You know, they just, "Arey miyan, 20 saal tak tum riyaz karoge, to tab kahin jaake shayad saasur laga paoge."
Meaning you have to work hard for 20 years and then only perhaps you'll be able to do it.
Maybe if you 20 years, then maybe you'll be able to hit the tone correctly, the sa correctly. I mean, already, who will want to say, oh, okay, I'm going to do this? That's not easy. That doesn't happen. So, yes, you lay the tools in front of the student. At the same time, my father, he was God, Mr. God himself. What do I want to do? I want to impress Mr. God. I want him to pay attention to me. And which son would not want to have time alone with his dad when the whole world slept and it was quiet?
And yet, Zakir Bhai, it wasn't easy. Life wasn't easy. You all stayed in one room. There were times that there wasn't enough food, and there was an occasion where your father had come back, your mother didn't have anything, any rations left the next morning.
I would see my mom sitting with my dad and say, "Kal ration lana hai, kaise hoga, kya hoga?" And he would say, "Don't worry, God will provide." Next thing you know, somebody's walking in through the door, knocking on the door, saying, "Oh, is Ustachi at home?" And say, "Why?" "Well, because there's a little private gathering and at somebody's home. They are requesting if Ustaji would come and play." He would go and play and come home, and there would be money in his hand and say, "Here, money for the rations tomorrow."